welcome to my channel, Changing Phases Tarot. So happy to have you here with me today. Now today's reading is for the fire sign of Leo for the month of November 2025. We are nearly at the end of the year, Leo. I hope that you're doing well. So for the reading today, I'll be doing a 10-card Celtic cross spread using the Pride Tarot deck. If I need to clarify, I have the Zillich Tarot deck here with me. At the end of the reading, I'll pull one additional card from the Akashic Tarot, which is quite a different tarot deck, and I'll read sort of the full description from the guidebook for that one. Just a reminder, these are general readings, so the messages may or may not resonate, right? I do encourage you to watch not just your sun sign reading, but also your moon and rising for a more complete overview of the energies surrounding you at this time. If you do enjoy the reading, then I do encourage you to please give the video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment, let me know how the messages resonate. Also subscribe to the channel. Not only would I appreciate that, but it will allow you to find out or be notified whenever I post new content. And lastly, if you're looking for new or regular content, you can follow me over on TikTok. I'm at Changing Phases Tarot on TikTok. There I do post kind of daily, weekly, just more regular, shorter content. All right, so let's get going. I've shuffled off camera and the meditator is on your side, but we will give the deck a few more shuffles. So Spirit, what are the messages for the fire sign of Leo for the month of November? What does Leo need to know? Messages for Leo. Messages for Leo for November. Okay, we'll do one last shuffle here. And divide the deck. And here we go. So the center of your spread, you have powerful. We have number 2 of the major arcana. This is the High Priestess. The High Priestess is associated with the water sign of Cancer and is very spiritual energy, right? She sits between the physical realm and the spiritual realm, and she really guides us and encourages us to tap into our own inner knowing, right? So paying attention to messages coming through, paying attention to our intuition, messages through signs, synchronicities throughout the daytime, and also at nighttime in our dreams, right? Might be a great month for you to keep a dream journal. But, you know, very spiritual energy and a focus on like our own spirituality, intuition. See how that ties in with the rest of the reading. We have what could help or hinder the High Priestess, the 4 of Cups. So this is, you know, cups. The suit of Cups is water energy, so it has to do with our emotions and feelings, relationships, and you know, it can be a card. It's oftentimes referred to as like a card of boredom, of apathy, of focusing on what doesn't fulfill you, on what hasn't worked out, right? On the sort of the disappointments. But by doing so, you might be missing out on, an opportunity that is right there surrounding you, or, in the periphery. So needing to focus on the positive with that showing up as the help or hinder card. We have another 4 in the deep past. This is the 4 of Pentacles. Many of you, depending on when you hear this reading, you might have already experienced this 4 of Pentacles energy. And 4s in the Tarot, they do represent stability. In this, in the case of the 4 of Pentacles, it has to do with our finances, how we earn money. So the money that we earn from the work that we do, it's our home, our family, our resources here in the material realm. Sometimes it's referred to as like the miser card. You can see that he's just clutching the coin there. So it can show up when there's a need to, kind of release this grip on the finances, allow the energy surrounding money, finances to flow a little more. In the recent past, we have the 10 of Swords, not the greatest of energies. I do like seeing it in the past, so for many of you, you would have already experienced this. It is the lowest point of a situation. As a 10, right, it represents an ending. So after this 10 of Swords, it would go back around to the Ace, beginning a brand new cycle, right, which is a new beginning. But it can represent, like feeling betrayed, stabbed in the back. It's the lowest point of a situation. But as the suit of swords, which is air energy, it is a suit of the mind. So it's, you know, it's not tangible. It's just, you know, it's thinking. It's a suit of communication, of thoughts. But it, you know, it can be difficult nonetheless. But it is over, right? There's no other place to go but up from the Ten of Swords. In the crowning position, message from your higher self, and I like seeing this, you know, progression from the 10 to the 6, kind of going down, so releasing. Some of the swords have been taken out, right, of the back here, and now there's movement. So there's, you know, definitely heading in the right direction with the 6 of Swords, and it does represent movement, moving on, whether this is mentally moving on from a situation or physically moving. It can be movement, like moving across water, travel, so travel to somewhere that's by water, or traveling by, you know, over water, but it's moving on, leaving behind a difficult situation, leaving behind choppy waters, and heading into calmer waters. So improvements, right? That is sort of in the crowning position there. We have in the near future the King of Cups. You might be dealing with an older water sign individual. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Could be a father figure, your own father, father of your children. But he's, you know, he's very emotionally stable, he's very compassionate as well, this King of Cups. So if this isn't a person, could be you taking on the energy of the King of Cups. We have you showing up as the Three of Swords. You have a number of Swords cards. Don't worry, we will clarify. Let's just get all the cards down. And the Three of Swords is, you know, it can represent heartache, disappointment. In a relationship reading, the Three of Swords can be, you know, the third person in a relationship, so like a three-party situation, cheating, deception. Just in a more general sense, it can represent disappointment, right? So something not working out, feeling disappointed about something. But again, it is swords, it is, you know, air energy. It doesn't, I mean, it can still be quite painful, right? Even though it is swords, but it's, yeah, it's not kind of a permanent, right? It's a disappointment, but it doesn't have to be like a long, kind of a one that will have like a lasting effect on, you know, it can be more temporary in nature. We have the Five of Pentacles, and interesting because usually the Five of Pentacles, it shows like people that are walking past a church, like they're out in the cold, representing, you know, this lack of something, lack mentality. In this deck, it actually shows the person like leaving, right? So the person is so this other reference to movement, walking away from something. So I feel that, you know, there could be, I mean, for some of you, and obviously we can see behind the person, we can see two people arguing. You know, for some of you, this won't resonate with everybody. There can be, you know, leaving like a relationship because, you know, there's arguments there. It could have to do, there might be children involved as well. But obviously this won't resonate with everybody. For others, this could be just, you know, a lack mentality. And we also had the Four of Pentacles moving to the Five of Pentacles. So there's this concern, this worry possibly over finances, hopes and fears, hoping for the Knight of Cups. And it can be like, you know, Prince Charming, obviously not gender specific, but, you know, that knight in shining armor. This is the offer of love coming in. If it's a job offer, then it's one that is going to be very, not just financially beneficial, but, you know, it's going to bring you emotional fulfillment as well. But for some of you, you could be hoping for a new relationship, one that is going to, you know, be more in line with what you would like for yourself, as opposed to any disappointment or heartache from the past. And we have new beginnings. I love seeing this as you head into the month of December with the Ace of Wands. You know, the Ace of Wands is it's a new beginning. It's that new spark. If it's a relationship, this can be like the very passionate, you know, spark of a brand new relationship when you're just getting to know the person and everything is very exciting and passionate. On the work front or career, new projects, it's, you know, it's very exciting. So this is like that spark of creativity. It's the new job offer coming in. Aces are blessings from the universe. They're yes cards. So if you have been waiting for an answer. This is the yes, even the green light from the universe. Bottom of the deck, we have more swords energy. So you have a number of swords cards, right? We have the 10 of swords, the 6 of swords, the 3 of swords, now this 8 of swords. So a number of swords cards showing up in your spread. Let me just count. We have 1, 2, so we have 3 cups, 4 swords, 2 pentacles, right? So there's a good number of swords cards. And the 8 of swords can be you thinking that you are stuck in a situation, right? It's the not knowing or thinking that there's no way out of a situation, not knowing how to get out of a situation. But in reality, as it is swords, the suit of the mind, you could easily get out of the situation, right? The woman on the card, even though it looks very difficult, she could remove the blindfold. She could walk away from that where she is, right? The swords aren't even imprisoning her. They're not even completely surrounding her. But it's thinking that for whatever reason, you're stuck, right? Not knowing a way out of a situation. Let's go ahead and clarify. There are a number of cards that need to be clarified in your spread. Okay, so clarifying messages for the fire sign Leo for the month of November. What is Leo? Please clarify the messages for Leo. Clarifying messages for Leo. Okay, I'll do one last shuffle here, Leo. No cards popped out. And we'll divide the deck. Okay, so I'm going to start off by clarifying this 10 of swords in the recent past. And we have the Prince of Wands. So, yeah, this ending or, difficult situation, possibly, backstabbing situation that does sit in the past. It could have to do with a work situation. It could have to do with a fire sign individual, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. But, it can also be like a job, to do with a job offer. So maybe somebody, you were looked over, somebody, or the job opportunity was given to somebody else, and you felt as though it was unfair. You were stabbed in the back in a certain way. The 3 of swords, we have the Devil. Now the Devil is number 15 of the major arcana. It's associated with the sign of Capricorn, so you could be dealing with a Capricorn individual, or this 3-party situation might have to do with a Capricorn. But the Devil can also represent, toxic relationships. It can be like those unhealthy type of relationships. On a more general level, like the Devil can represent imbalance in your life, the need for balance to be restored. So whether this is, different areas of your life being out of balance and working too much, which is, affecting other areas of your life. It can be, too much, like sex even, or, with this 3 of swords, or like eating too much, drinking too much, anything in excess, basically, which is negatively impacting your life in some way. So this, this 3 of swords, again, it could be to do with a person. It could be like a relationship. It could be just in general, like areas of your life that have been out of balance, so there's a need to restore balance there. The 5 of Pentacles is feeling left out in the cold. We have the 8 of Swords, which is a repeater, right? We had that at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, so there's some situation that you felt, or you might be feeling, because obviously this is heading into the month of December, just stuck, right? In this deck it's called interference, but it's, you're thinking that you're stuck in a situation, in this, lack of mentality, or, if it is a romantic situation, it's feeling very stuck. 8 of Swords, we have the 7 of Swords as a clarifier. In this deck, it's called Futility. The 7 of Swords is, it can be like somebody getting away with something, somebody sort of sneaking away in the middle of the night, thinking they're getting away with something. It can also be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It can be on a more positive note. It can be like coming up with an innovative way of doing something, or of looking at a situation. That can also, let me pull more on that 8. Yeah, and we have another 7. This is the major arcana, 7 of the major arcana, which is the Chariot, which is victory. So I think that, you finding a new way of looking at a situation or viewing a situation is ultimately going to bring you victory. Let me pull one more there. And we have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, this is the new beginning, so I feel that, you're being guided to look at a situation from a new vantage point, right? To view, like, come up with a different way of approaching, like, if you have felt stuck, how whatever you've been doing so far just hasn't been working. So there's a need to see something in from a different point of view. I'll pull a clarifier on this 4 of Cups, which is the, this apathy, feeling bored. And we have the Prince of, this would be like the Knight of Dis, or the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, so I feel like it's something surrounding, for many of you, it's surrounding your career, and just, feeling stuck in your career and not knowing kind of how to get out of where you currently are. But I feel that the way for you to get out of it is to approach it from a completely different vantage point, or just come up with a completely new way of looking at the situation. That's what's going to bring you the balance that you've been hoping for, as far as like the way that you make your money. And I think we do have positive cards here. We have this new spark coming in. This would be heading into the month of December. So I feel that there's movement here. I feel that as you move through the month of November into December, you're being guided to do things differently, approach situations differently, possibly listening, going back to the center card here with the High Priestess, paying attention to your intuition, right? So how you're being guided intuitively, like follow those messages coming through. But ultimately, you're heading towards, like, there's new opportunities as you head into the month of December. It's a very interesting reading. Let me go ahead and so we're looking for an additional message for you here, Leo, Akashic Tarot deck. So one additional message for Leo. What else do you need to know for the month? Message for Leo. That one flipped out. We will take it. And we have, this is number 1 of the major arcana. In this deck, it's called the Oracle of Delphi. Let me hold this so you can see. And I'll put it up here so I can read the full description for you. So obviously, the number 1 would be the Magician in the traditional tarot, but in this deck, it is. And the major arcana in this deck, it's slightly different because it doesn't start at the 0, which is like the Fool. So it actually starts at number 1. So this would, it would be like the Fool, but it's, it's the number 1 in this deck. Okay, so the message is, the Pythia, or the priestess at Delphi, sits upon a high 3-legged seat. Steam gently rises from a small fissure in the ground. Nearby, a robed priest prepares to write upon an open scroll. While the Pythia psychically receives the perceptions from Apollo, it is the priest who interprets her pronouncements. In this, we see the 2 important keys in psychic experience: perception and interpretation. When you receive this card, you're in a time of great insight and psychic power. Even if you don't recognize it yet, it lies very close to your consciousness because you have used this gift in so many past lives. You may get images or feelings without knowing how to interpret them. Take notes as you practice both your psychic perceptions and their interpretations. Just as they gave the Oracle of Delphi a profound awareness, your psychic perceptions and their interpretations give you a powerful insight and an Akashic vision of the world. The Akashic Force message says, close your eyes and go within. Feel your psychic energy growing, expanding upward from the very depths of your being. Now notice the first thing that you sense. And that's interesting because, the High Priestess sits at the center of your spread, which is a very intuitive, right, very psychic energy. So definitely that's a strong message coming through for you this month, Leo. So I do hope that these messages have helped. I thank you for joining me today. I look forward to reading for you again, and just know that I'm sending you much peace, love, and light for a wonderful month of November. Bye for now.